Hey everyone, welcome to another video from A Man Talks FPL SC. On this channel we discuss Fantasy Premier League, NRL Supercoach, and today we are going through the Fantasy Premier League Game Week 5 preview and also a rundown of the top picks that you can go for in terms of captaincy selections, a player watch list, team selection tips, all of good stuff. So if you do enjoy the video, really appreciate a thumbs up. Do please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and let's get into the Game Week 5 guide. So I first wanted to start with a big load of data for you guys to create a little bit of a player watch list. So we've sorted this table by expected points, and that takes into account expected goals, expected assists, as well as expected clean sheets. So it's a bit of it covers all of our major scoring avenues in FPL, and we can see there that Mikel Antonio is still sitting at the top there with 33.9 expected points. He is obviously out for this game week, so it's a big call whether you're looking to hold or to sell Antonio, given that the form that he's shown so far this season, and he's coming back from his suspension to a matchup against Leeds, who've got a very, very leaky defense, and then also a good matchup against Brentford. And you can see those stats there. He's created 7 chances. He's had himself 6 big chances, 5.6 expected goal involvement, which is the highest amongst all players in the league so far. For me personally, I think if you can cover Antonio, I think I would lean towards holding him. But obviously, if you haven't got adequate cover, in a cheaper bench option, then you can obviously move him on. But again, I would just question the decision knowing how good his stats have been so far this season. And we know Mane and Salah have both been very, very good so far for Liverpool up front with great goal threat. Both have around 4.5 expected goal involvement so far this season, but Salah has actually proved to be a little bit more creative with 12 chances created. So again, it's a fantastic option to have in our teams moving forward. I wanted to highlight some defensive options here, especially for those who are looking to go onto wildcards either this week or in the next couple of weeks. Man City have a great run of fixtures coming up from Game Week 8, and João Cancelo has proven to be pretty nailed on actually in the Man City defense, and you can see there, he's actually 4th amongst all players in terms of expected points, and he's actually top for all defenders. And you can see there a 1.2 expected goal involvement so far this season. He's had 13 touches in the box, so he is getting into the penalty box area. He also himself has had 1 big chance, and so is a fantastic option in the Man City defense, which we know is so solid. And so I really like him, and also Trent Alexander-Arnold. If you're looking to go real premium in your defense, I mean, Trent is just on another level. 2.9 expected goal involvement, 20 chances created. I think these two, in my opinion, if I was wildcarding in Game Week 5, I would 100% would be having Trent, and would strongly consider João Cancelo as well. Other players who I think have definitely caught my eye as well, Conor Gallagher from Crystal Palace. He's had amazing underlying stats. You can see there, all of these stats are only coming in 3 games because he actually didn't play in Game Week 1 because he was up against Chelsea, who is his parent team. You can see he scored 26 points already from an expected points of 23.3, so he is delivering on his underlying stats. And you can see there, he himself has had 5 big chances. He's had 13 touches in the box, so he is hanging around the penalty area. He also has created 5 chances, and he's had 3.6 expected goal involvement. All of this from a 5.6 million midfielder. So again, he looks a fantastic enabler, and I think Crystal Palace's upcoming fixtures are not the best, but if you are wildcarding and you need a cheap midfielder to help get in your big boys like your Mo Salahs, your Cristiano Ronaldos, I think he's a perfect enabler and is probably the standout kind of budget midfielder in my opinion, even more than say like a Demarai Gray or a Doucouré from Everton. I think Conor Gallagher, in my opinion, is probably the pick of the bunch because those other two, they have been overperforming their stats, but Conor Gallagher has been delivering on his stats, and I think it's a lot more sustainable in that way. So I really like Gallagher as that kind of budget enable pick in your midfield. Now, on that original topic of Mikel Antonio and kind of mid-priced strikers and who to go for, I've highlighted 2 players here in Chris Wood and Teemu Pukki. Again, some differentials here, but they both are actually in the top 20 for expected points there. You got 21.7 for Chris Wood, 20.6 for Pukki, and both have been under-delivering on that. Chris Wood's only got 15 points and Pukki has 13. The expected goal involvement is pretty good for the pair of them, 2.3 for Wood and also 2.1 for Pukki. So if you are looking for some differentials in that forward line, Pukki and Norwich have got a great run of fixtures actually in the next 5 game weeks. For Burnley, they've got a pretty decent stretch actually from game weeks 7 to 10. So looking at the fixture ticker here, again for Norwich, you can see there from game weeks 5 to 10, Watford, Everton, Burnley, Brighton, Chelsea and Leeds. That's not a bad run of 5 games. So if you are in the market for that kind of more budget striker option, I don't honestly mind Pukki. And up against Watford, you'd have to think that this kind of run of fixtures is when Norwich are really going to try to go for it to try to win some points because they haven't got any points on the board yet. And so I think Pukki up front, under delivering on his stats so far, he could be a good differential option to go for. And if we take a look at Burnley's fixtures from game week 5 to 10, I think especially from game week 7, they do look really good. You've got Norwich and then also Man City, which is a bit tough. But then you've got Southampton and then you've got Brentford. So I think 3 of those 4 pretty good matchups for a Chris Wood option. He tends to score a lot of goals in a short period of time. So I think it's about trying to pick the right time with him and seeing that his stats have been pretty good and he's not just quite delivering on it yet. If you want to take a big flyer and go for Chris Wood, even from game week 5, Arsenal and Leicester have not been performing the best. It could be a sneaky differential to go for in your forward line. So coming back to our expected points watch list, I want to highlight also Romain Saiss from Wolves. He could be a differential as well in your Wolves defender market if you're looking to go for one of them. The big discussion has obviously been around Semedo versus Marcel this game week, which is fair enough because the pair of them, obviously Marcel had a big 13-point haul and Semedo himself had 2 great chances to score in that game, but he didn't quite finish the job. Saiss has actually got higher expected goals than the pair of them, mainly because of one matchup a couple of weeks back where he had 2 clear-cut opportunities that were denied by De Gea, making magnificent saves. And so I think, you can see their big underperformance, expected 20.6 points, and he's only scored 11. So if you are looking for, if you're that kind of manager who likes to go for a differential, Romain Saiss, I don't actually mind that, to be honest. And he has got a lot of goal threat from set pieces, especially. And going back to our fixture ticker for Wolves, you can see there the run of games for them is really, really strong. Brentford, Southampton, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Leeds, Everton. It's such a great run of fixtures for Wolves. So I think getting a Wolves defender, especially if you're on a wild card, is a great option to go for, in my opinion. And if you go for a Saiss, he is a little bit more expensive. He's 5.0 compared to Semedo and also Marcel. But again, I think he has got that extra goal threat from set pieces. And obviously the defense for Wolves has been really, really strong so far this season. I think they rank in the top 3 in terms of expected goals conceded. So I really like Romain Saiss as a pick as well if you're looking to go for a Wolves defender and a little bit more of a differential one at that. And then the final player I wanted to highlight here was also Patrick Bamford, because there's obviously a big discussion point around him this game week as a good transfer option. If you're looking to replace like a Dominic Calvert-Lewin or even a Mikel Antonio, I think he's a good option to bring in this game week. He is 20th on our list here of expected points. He's got 16 points scored from 20.3 expected stats, but you see a lot of touches in the box, actually 24 in the box. He has created 2 chances and he himself has also had 2 big chances. So I think he is a good consideration as well, and he's probably my pick as well of those kind of mid-price strikers to go for, and definitely someone, obviously we have to kind of wait for some press conference news because, he quoted his hamstrings were pinging. Honestly, I don't think there's going to be too much risk there. Obviously, we can wait for some press conference news from Bielsa. But honestly, I think him saying pinging has probably just meant that he was tired from running around chasing Liverpool defenders all game. So I think, honestly, I don't really see him missing out on this match against Newcastle. And it is a great run of fixtures as well for Leeds. Sorry to be flicking back to this again, but you can see Leeds are at the top of the ticker here. You've got Newcastle, West Ham, Watford, Southampton, Wolves, Norwich. I think it's a great time to be jumping on a Bamford. Yes, he hasn't really delivered so many points so far. He got his returns against Everton and Burnley. So with these easy matches coming up, and also Newcastle is statistically the worst defense in the league. So I think Bamford is a fantastic trade-in option and definitely probably one of the top picks for game week 5. Now, I also wanted to bring up a good question here from Nathan. So what I'll do also moving forward is I will post on my YouTube page. I'll ask for your questions and I can address them also in this video series, and hopefully that makes it a little bit more interactive for you guys as well, and also to get the more relevant information for all of your issues. So Nathan's question I thought was really relevant. With Antonio suspended for this week and West Ham beginning their European duties, is it a good time to jump off the likes of Antonio and Benrahma? So obviously these two are really highly owned players. I kind of gave my reasons for Antonio and why I think he is a very good hold. Benrahma I think is actually a little bit of a different issue though. You can see there I've highlighted him in orange. He has overperformed so far this season, 29 points against the 20.7 expected. And if you actually took a quick small sample size of his last 2 game weeks, they're way down on what he was actually producing in game weeks 1 and 2. And I think I'm recording this on Thursday evening just before the actual West Ham game has taken place in Australian time, because it happened like Friday morning. If we see him play like a lot of minutes, that probably does give me some concern, because it might suggest that he's not going to play the full 90 minutes in game week 5, and it is a tough matchup against Manchester United. Personally, I think if you've got both Antonio and you've got Benrahma, I would be happy to actually move off Benrahma to the likes of like a Rafinha, who's got a great fixture run, as we saw previously with Leeds. If you wanted to go for a more short-term play, you could go for a Sarr, although he and Watford have not delivered that many attacking returns recently, but they've got a great 3-game run coming up. But otherwise, I don't think he is also the worst hold, because you've got Leeds coming up in game week 7, and then you've got Brentford in game week 8. And so I think if you're one of those players who's, say, wildcarding in game week 7 or 8, I think he's okay to hold. If I was wildcarding in game week 5 though, so this week, I don't think he would be on my wildcard because I think come game week 8 for sure, I'd be looking to move off my West Ham players. So we'll also get into the best captain picks for game week 5. To be honest, in my opinion, I think it's pretty straightforward this game week. I think Mo Salah is the standout option for captaincy this game week. Crystal Palace have not been a bad defense so far this season, but they have conceded 5 goals away from home. They look like they are looking to play a little bit more enterprising and then a little bit more open, but Liverpool's attack has just been looking really, really good to begin the season, and Salah has also been the highest points predictor for game week 5 with 8.2 points, and I think just playing at home, I think we can see that the Anfield crowd is really up for it, and I think that really is a big factor we need to consider in our captaincy decisions. So for me, I'm not going to overthink it. Mo Salah is probably going to be my captain coming into game week 5, and I think he is the best option. Some alternatives, if you're not looking to go for a Mo Salah, you could go for Ronaldo again, who's away to West Ham, but I think playing away is a little bit tougher, and I just don't fully trust United yet. You could see that their attack was a little bit kind of clunky, and they weren't quite able to get the ball to Ronaldo, but he only needs 1 or 2 opportunities, and he can get you the goal or 2. So I still think he's a decent option, but I wouldn't rank him above Salah. Lukaku, yes, Tottenham didn't look very good against Crystal Palace, conceding 3 goals, and he's got really, really good stats there. 1 expected goal involvement per 90 for Lukaku, but I think it's a tough enough matchup, and he is playing away as well. I fully expect him to actually score a goal this game week, but I don't think he's going to have as high of a ceiling as a Salah. Now, if you want to go really differential and actually talking ceilings, Trent Alexander-Arnold, I think, is probably the second best option for captaincy. I never normally captain defenders, but if you're that kind of manager who likes to go for the upside play, you could go for Trent, because we saw last game week he only needs 1 assist, 1 clean sheet, and boom, he usually gets maximum 3 bonus, and he gets a big double-digit return. Expected goal involvement per 90 for a defender is really solid, 0.7. He also is predicted 6.6 points. That's even more than Cristiano Ronaldo this game week, so I think he probably is the second best captaincy option for this game week, but I'm probably going to be leaning to Mo Salah in this one. Again, going through the best kind of predicted performers for game week 5, you can see there Mo Salah is top at 8.2, and you can see that the Hub's prediction tool really favours the Liverpool squad this game week. You've got Mane up there at 7, Alexander-Arnold 6.6, you've got Jota in there at 5.9 as well. You can see Ronaldo and Bamford are up there, again highlighting that they're still very good picks for this game week, especially Bamford with that good matchup against Newcastle. But again, this probably highlights, in my opinion, Salah is probably the best captain option. Now, some more general tips around team selection for this game week. We're looking at the clean sheet odds. You can see Man City and Liverpool are very highly predicted to get a clean sheet this game week. Wolves have actually been proven to be a really strong defense, so I don't think we can look at that matchup as a tough one. So I think obviously if you have got Wolves defenders, you'll be happily playing them and would be expecting a clean sheet this game week as well. I guess one thing I wanted to highlight actually with the clean sheet odds, you can actually see Norwich is really, really high up there coming up against Watford this game week. I know a lot of people are looking to have to play like Brandon Williams kind of cover for Mikel Antonio's absence. I don't think that's the worst play in the world if that means you saving a potential transfer, if instead you can play a Brandon Williams, because they've got a 34% chance of a clean sheet, which is on par or even actually better than Manchester United. I think that kind of highlights that Williams probably isn't the worst play this game week. This is probably the only time you're going to be playing him all season, so just send him out there and hope he does well for you, and that hopefully is helpful in terms of potentially saving a transfer instead of taking out a Mikel Antonio to fill out your 11 for this game week. Also, to help with potential captaincy options, we've got Ronaldo and Salah topping the goal scorer odds this game week. Ferran Torres as well, he only played 60 minutes in the Champions League, so he's also probably, in my opinion, probably a decent shout of actually starting against Southampton. So I think anyone who has gotten him in their team, you can play him with confidence. I wouldn't be captaining him or anything. I think that's maybe a little bit too risky, but a 50% chance of goal scoring I think is obviously looking really good in his favour. We can see up there Lukaku, Bamford, Jota are all higher up there as well, so again highlighting that they are all good picks for this game week, and Jota especially someone I've got a lot of FOMO for, because it looks like he could be playing Crystal Palace and also against Brentford, and his stats are always amazing. One last thing I actually wanted to touch on is our mini league leader is Genie Mini Mane Mo. That's a fantastic name. I've already checked. He 100% is a Liverpool supporter. He is ranked 3,200 in the world so far, and he is leading the mini league. And he played his wildcard in game week 4, and I just wanted to put up his squad there just to highlight. I think it's a really, really strong team that he went for in game week 4, and I really like a lot of these picks. And again, I think you can take inspiration from this if you're looking to play the wildcard this week. I really like the Rudiger selection because I think getting a Chelsea defender now, one of the best defenses in the league. I think locking in a Chelsea defender is a really, really strong move in my opinion. He got onto Demarai Gray, so that's a really good option there as a budget enabler, and he's got a great matchup against Aston Villa and then also Norwich next game week. Although personally I probably would have gone for a Gallagher just because I think his returns are maybe going to be a little bit more sustainable, but I just really like that price point that he's gone for in a budget enabler. Greenwood, Jota, Salah, Benrahma. Again, really good selections, although I probably personally would not have kept Benrahma on my wildcard. But again, you could easily change that to Rafinha if you're going for a Game Week 5 wildcard. And then he's got Antonio and Ronaldo up front. So he's gone for a 3-5-2 formation. Again, overall, I think it's a really solid squad because even the bench is pretty strong. You know, you've got Ben White, who's a very solid player most game weeks. Livramento, we know how good of a player he's looking at Southampton. And then also he's got Dennis from Watford. So he could feasibly not have to make a transfer this game week. He could very easily bench Antonio and play Dennis, who's got Norwich. Or he could play Ben White, who's got Burnley. So overall, I really like this team. And so I think it's a good kind of inspiration point for any of you out there. He's ranked 3,000 in the world. So again, he must be doing something right. So for any of you playing your Game Week 5 wildcard, I think there's some good players that you can take out and apply to your own teams this game week. So that's it, everyone. That is the Game Week 5 guide. Hopefully that helps you in terms of the kind of good transfer options to pick in Game Week 5. And if you enjoyed the video, really appreciate a thumbs up. Do please consider subscribing if you haven't already. But I'll see you all in the next video.